What if the map we've seen isn't the whole picture? What if Rockstar is hiding an entire second location that they haven't shown us yet? Because there's been this theory floating around the GTA 6 community for a while now that just refuses to die, and the more you look into it, the more it starts to make a weird amount of sense. I'm talking about Cuba. Or more specifically, a fictional Cuban-inspired island sitting somewhere south of Leonida that could completely change the scale of this game. Now, is any of this confirmed? No, but stick with me because the breadcrumb trail on this one is actually pretty interesting. So this whole thing traces back to an older leak that's been circulating for a while now, and what's kept it alive is that several things it predicted have actually turned out to be accurate. It said the game would be set in a Florida-inspired location, which obviously turned out to be Leonida. It mentioned a male protagonist involved in drug smuggling operations, and we saw exactly that kind of imagery in the second trailer. And it described a female protagonist who acts as a contact within the States. Now, those details alone don't prove everything in the leak is true, but when multiple specific claims check out over time, it gives the rest of it a lot more weight than your average internet rumor. And one of the other things this leak mentioned was Cuba as a secondary playable location. Now, let me be completely clear. Rockstar has not said a single word about any location beyond Leonida. Everything officially confirmed points to the fictional state of Leonida, with Vice City as the main hub, surrounded by areas like the Leonida Keys, Grass Rivers, and Mount Calaga. So we're already getting a full state, not just a city. But the question that keeps coming up is whether Leonida is everything or whether there's something else beyond the water that Rockstar just hasn't revealed yet. And honestly, from a pure logic standpoint, a Cuba-style location makes almost too much sense for this game. Think about what GTA 6 is setting up. You've got a modern-day crime story set in a fictional version of Florida. A state that in real life sits 90 miles from Cuba with deep historical ties to Caribbean drug trafficking, smuggling routes, and organized crime networks that stretch across the water. If Rockstar is building a criminal conspiracy story that escalates from small-time local jobs into something much bigger, having a second location across the strait is the most natural escalation point imaginable. And story-wise, it opens up so much. Smuggling routes between Leonida and a Caribbean island, cartel connections and trafficking storylines, Coast Guard chases and border surveillance tension, black market deals happening on foreign soil. All of that tropical but dangerous energy that you can't fully capture by staying in one location. And if Jason and Lucia's story really does follow that Bonnie and Clyde trajectory, where things keep getting worse and the heat keeps rising, a second location could be the moment where the story shifts from "we're in trouble" to "we're in way over our heads and there's nowhere left to run." So let's say, hypothetically, Rockstar does have something like this in the game. How would they actually handle it? Because you can't just slap a whole second island on the map and let players boat over there from the start. That would kill the pacing and undermine the reveal. Based on how Rockstar has handled things in previous games, I think there are a few ways this could work. The first option would be a story-locked chapter. This is the most classic Rockstar approach. You play the first chunk of the game entirely in Leonida. The story builds, tension escalates, and then at some major turning point, the new location opens up and completely recontextualizes the scale of what you're dealing with. Think about how Red Dead Redemption 2 handled Guarma, except in this case, the location would probably be much bigger and more fleshed out since it's central to the overall narrative rather than a brief detour.
The second option would be mission-based access that gradually opens up. You'd travel there for specific operations at first, a smuggling drop, a meeting with someone important, an extraction job. Each time you go, you see a little more of the island, and eventually, after enough story progression, it opens up for free exploration. This would let Rockstar control the pacing, while still giving players that sense of a world expanding around them. The third option, and honestly the one I think is most realistic, is a smaller but incredibly dense secondary map. If a Cuba-inspired location exists, it probably isn't going to be another full state the size of Leonida. It would more likely be a compact but meticulously detailed area, a dense city zone, a coastline, maybe some rural outskirts. Not massive in square footage, but packed with enough detail and content to feel substantial. Rockstar has always prioritized density over raw size, and a tightly crafted secondary island would fit that philosophy perfectly. Now, this also ties into the bigger map debate that the community has been having for months. Everyone keeps speculating about what's north of the confirmed map area. Is there a second state up there? Possibly something called Gloriana? What does the northern boundary actually look like? The mapping community has been going back and forth on this endlessly, and a Cuba-style southern island would actually be a really clean solution to the scope question. Keep Leonida as this contained, detailed landmass, and then expand the world not by stretching the map north into more mainland, but by adding something across the water to the south. It gives you geographic variety, narrative possibilities, and a genuine sense of scale without just making the existing map bigger for the sake of being bigger. And here's the thing that keeps me coming back to this theory. If Rockstar does have a second location hidden away, it perfectly explains why all the marketing so far has been exclusively focused on Vice City and Leonida. You don't reveal your biggest surprise in the first two trailers. You let people think they know the full scope of the game, and then you pull back the curtain later when the impact will be massive. That's exactly the kind of move Rockstar would make. They've always loved holding their best cards until the moment they'll hit hardest. Now, do I think this is guaranteed? No. There's every chance that Leonida is the entire playable area, and Rockstar has simply built it to be so dense and detailed that it doesn't need a second location. And honestly, that would still be incredible. But do I think there's something beyond what we've been shown? Yeah, I actually do. Whether it's a Caribbean island to the south, or additional territory to the north, or both, I genuinely believe the final map is going to be bigger than what anyone currently expects. And if I had to guess, I think Rockstar is sitting on at least one major map reveal that they're saving for the marketing push this summer. So, what do you think? Do you want GTA 6 to have a second location, like a Cuba-inspired island? Or would you rather Rockstar go all in on making Leonida as detailed as possible? And if there is a second location, do you think it should be open from the start or locked behind story progression? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear where everyone stands on this. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button and turn on notifications. I'll be covering all the GTA 6 theories and news leading up to launch. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.